Good morning and welcome to FlossTube number 25. Today is October 15th, 2018. My name is Christine. I am CMD586 on Instagram. Welcome. We are halfway through Dark October stitching. If you didn't see my last video, I decided during October I was going to stitch on nothing but Halloween-ish projects. I chose 20 of them. I know this sounds like a lot. 20 of them, including WIPs and possible starts. And not that I would necessarily work on all 20 of those, but that I might work on all 20 of those. And so I'm here to share how that's going. I'll also show you the WIP I was working on up until October 1st. That's not a Halloween WIP, but I didn't share it in my last video because my last video was strictly Dark October plans. A little bit of haul, not much, because I said a couple of videos ago that I was going to really try to cut back on the haul, and so far so good on that. I really am. And I'm gonna do a drawing at the end of the video for this. There were only a couple of entries, so good luck to the few people who entered. Odds are good. I'm actually going to talk about a book, and which I know, considering I'm a bookseller and I work in a bookstore, it's kind of weird that I don't really talk about books much, but I'm super duper excited about one that I am going to talk about. And I guess that's about it. So anyway, first I wanted to give a shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to a FlossTuber that's been around for several months, I think. I think well, I first noticed her in this summer, but she doesn't get as much attention as I think she deserves, and so I wanted to give her a shout out. Her name is Liz Disney Craft Girl. That's her YouTube channel name. As you can tell from that, she's pretty into Disney. She does a lot of Disney stuff, there are two videos in particular of hers that I think are worth mentioning. She does a Lady and the Tramp. She likes the MCG Textiles Disney kits, which are no more, by the way. But she, because I guess the company is closed. But she did this like 4.5-minute video about her process of 2-year progress on making Disney's, the MCG Textiles Disney Dreams kit, Lady and the Tramp. And it's mesmerizing. It's a beautiful video. It just starts from the very beginnings, and it's just a slideshow basically from the start till the completion of the kit, and it's really worth watching. And I was particularly excited to watch it myself because I'm doing the Lady and the Tramp pattern. I'm doing it very differently, but I am doing it, and so I was really mesmerized by that video and very much appreciated it. And then she also has a video, because there's been a lot of confusion about what the heck happened to the Disney Dreams kits, and she has a video that talks about that specifically. You can see it in her, if you have any curiosity about what has happened with that. You can look through her videos and you'll see one that says it indicates in the title what it's about. So, but all of her videos are worth watching. She's a real nice lady, and I enjoy her videos, and I do think she deserves she deserves more subscribers and a little bit more attention. So we often there's nothing wrong with this, but we talk so much about the same FlossTubers. Everybody shouts out the same people, and I do too, and I don't feel bad about that. But I think that personally, I'd like to make a little bit more of an effort to mention some people that are a little lesser known, to seek some of those people out and mention them. And I'm not one of the most popular people myself. So I'm sure you know, me shouting them out won't you know, make a big change for them, but I think that it'd be nice if we those of us who do shout outs, if we would you know, make an effort to talk about some of the people that maybe don't have as many followers or subscribers or views and stuff as some of the others that, you know, get talked about in everybody's videos. Anyway, just a thought. Okay, so haul. I didn't get much, but I did get 2 things. Well, I got some stuff I won't bother to show you, like some miscellaneous threads and stuff like that. Nothing super exciting, but I did get one of the, I didn't start it, but one of the things I talked about in my Dark October plans video was the possibility of starting this shadow moon pattern. And I wasn't sure about the fabric because the called for fabric is a hand dye fabric by Stephanie, and I didn't really want to, you know, wait the possible several weeks to get it from her, even though I do support Stephanie and will order from her in the future. I just wanted to get something now that would work. And so I talked about the possibility of ordering chartreuse by Weeks Dye Works. And, you know, you can never tell on your computer screen or your phone screen or whatever what color something really is. So you have to get it in your hands to find out. So, but this is chartreuse, and I think this is absolutely perfect for this design. Oh, and I posted about it. Oh, this is a thrill for me. I posted about it on Instagram, and Kathy Haberman, she responded to my post and said it. I don't remember what she said, but it was very complimentary that it was a good fabric choice. So I was like, oh, that was a thrill. So, you know, it's funny that we have these starstruck moments with each other, you know, and you know, Kathy's a lovely person. She's just a person. She's a designer who I happen to think is awesome, and but it still was an incredible thrill for me to have her say something to me about it. Something. Oh, one of the other groups I'm in, the Stitchers Coven, on Facebook. She the primitive hair designer, a couple of days ago, she joined that group and she made a post, and I was like, I can't believe the primitive hair woman is here. I love her. Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, so I got that, and then a few weeks ago, a friend of mine, Elizabeth Hurd, who watches me on FlossTube, contacted me, and she said, I found some of those Stitching Parlor Jane Austen inspired patterns on sale somewhere, and offered to snatch them up for me and sell them to me, and she just snatched them all up and said, buy whichever ones you want. And I did. So I now have the complete collection, I believe, of the ones that are based on Pride and Prejudice. There are still 2 more that are apparently a little harder to find. Maybe they were less popular, I don't know. That were Jane Austen inspired, but not specifically Pride and Prejudice. I think one was from Mansfield Park, and the other one I think is Sense and Sensibility. I could be wrong, but I want them all. But I have now all of the Pride and Prejudice ones, so I'm really happy about it. And it was so nice. I know I paid for these from Elizabeth, you know, but I feel like I was given a gift. It just felt really good and special to have somebody you know, contact me and say, hey, you know, I found these and do you want them? And, you know, to think of me. That to me, that was wonderful. And I was very happy to buy them. So now I have all of the Pride and Prejudice ones. If anybody comes across the other two Jane Austen inspired ones by the Stitching Parlor that are not Pride and Prejudice, I would be absolutely thrilled to purchase them from you, or anywhere you direct me to. So this one is Rosings. Rosings. And this one is Mr. and Mrs. Darcy of Pemberley. And this one is my favorite. This one is Mr. Collins' Humble Abode. This is my favorite of all of the Stitching Parlor Jane Austen designs. So thank you, Elizabeth. Super happy to get this, and it was just so touching to me that she thought of me, and yeah, no. The stitching community, by and large, is a wonderful place, and I'm lucky to be a part of it. So, okay, so now I'm going to talk about my WIPs. So prior to October 1st, the thing that I was working on, one of the items I was working on at the end of my video number 23 was the Cricut Collections Welcome. And here is a picture of where it was when last you saw it. And here I am now. As a reminder, I'm doing this on a 36 count Edinburgh by Color and Cotton. It's a solo die. It's a beautiful sunny yellow. Trying to get you a good picture of the color of the fabric. And then there's, I can't see what you're seeing, so I'm just gonna do this. Hopefully that works. Anyway, I love this. There's something about stitching these word-like patterns that are, I don't know, there's just something really satisfying about them. I love this tree. This is really fun. I love this tree. I still love those stars. These are geraniums. Look at these geranium leaves. If I grew up with, we had a huge amount of geraniums. One of the houses I grew up in until I was about 12 years old, we had a huge amount of geraniums in our yard, and my parents had a lot of plants like rose bushes, and we lived in a desert-ish area, so we had like a rock garden with cactuses and we had bougainvillea, and we had geraniums, and I remember the leaves, and this is such a great representation of some geranium leaves where they have that dark, like purpley stuff in the center. Oh, I just love it. I love this. Now, one little complaint I did have, this is a birdhouse, and that straw in the center on the pattern, you cannot decipher the back stitching on the pattern. I actually had to, because it's very complicated back stitching, and the black squares in there, the black that's in there, or it's not black, it's $37.99, is represented on the chart just solid black filled in, and then on top of that they have put black lines for back stitching, and I used my light and I used my magnifier. You cannot see it. You just can't. And it's not a matter of my eyes. You literally cannot make it out, because the black lines in many cases just are one with the black squares. And then so you know, it's not super critical, but for somebody who likes to be precise like me, who's kind of, you know, concerned about doing things right, you know, that's a problem. And so I squinted and I used my magnifier and I made out what I could, and then I looked at this little tiny example on here, and I just did the best I could, and it turned out fine. And you know, it's a straw like nest, so it's not, you know, it's supposed to be kind of crazy, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that did not make me happy. Like, I don't think there's any real good excuse for that. I think that that they could have given like a detailed spot that's separated out from the pattern. There's this another spot where they think that you need to see the details a little bit better, so they give you a close-up, but not on that stupid birdhouse and the straw. So anyway, whatever. Okay, so then it was October 1st, and I started my October plans. I did do a Wheel of Whips thing. I have mixed feelings about the Wheel of Whips. I think it's fun. I like the idea, but there comes a time where I kind of burn out on the idea of having something else choose for me. Like, I really, when it comes down to it, I have to do what I want. So basically, if the wheel is turning up something I'm happy with, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go with this wheel. It's awesome. And then as soon as it tells me something I don't want to hear, I'm like, nope. So I'm going to keep using the wheel because it's fun when I feel like it. And then I won't use it when I don't feel like it. Okay, so I had 2 miserable failures and 1 rather pathetic thing in this dark October adventure of mine so far. So I'll start with the bad stuff. So the first one is my haunted house welcome, which I won't bother to show you a picture of where it was when you saw it last, because the amount of progress I've made is about to be backward progress. There's 1 extra line in here, and then a bunch is coming out. So see this moon? There is a lot. Look, this is a beautiful piece, and I am going to finish it. I had told you last time that I had bought all the Kreinik required to finish this piece, and I had, but I hadn't looked at it very closely. And it turns out that none of the Kreinik I bought matches the old Kreinik, and it's significantly different. Let me show you a picture that I posted on Instagram because it illustrates it perfectly and in shorter time. So I have now bought more Kreinik, and I bought enough to finish, but some of it doesn't matter. In a lot of the pieces, they're smaller amounts and they're not close enough together to really matter. Like if there's a little bit of even a noticeable difference, which there is a noticeable difference between the colors. But in this moon, I put in 1 like partial row down here, and there is a definite difference in those colors. So I have to take out all of this and start again with the new Kreinik. So that it's hugely frustrating. I kind of knew in the back of my mind that was a risk. I was hoping that in the case of Kreinik that the dye lot issues were going to be a little bit different than when possibly with, you know, hand-dyed threads or old DMC, new DMC, etc. So anyway, so even though I got the Kreinik, I didn't take it out and work on it again because I just didn't have the heart to. So, but it'll be okay. Oh, and it was suggested to me that instead of taking out the whole moon, that I try like taking out, like feathering it, kind of like taking out squares here and there along the edge of the old, and like mixing in the new, and so to make it so there wasn't such a harsh line. That would probably work, but I don't think I can allow myself to do that. I don't think that'll work for me, like psychologically. I think I need to know that it pretty much matches. So I think I will just rip all that out and start again. So hopefully it won't be another couple of years before I touch that project, but right now I don't have the stomach for it. So I don't know. We'll see. I do want to finish it. I don't want it to be a UFO. I do want to finish it. So, and then another point during one of my other bad things, I won't bother showing you a picture where it was before because this is poison. I will show you a picture of the finished project, what it's supposed to look like. And this is where I am still at. I had put in 100 stitches. And I apparently lost my place on the chart. And you know, when you're doing all this confetti, for me anyway, I just go by the chart. I'm not really visually paying that much attention to what I'm doing. And when I put in those 100 stitches, I realized that this very distinct like circle thing was wrong because there was no continued circle. It was like just like stuff up here that got stitched in here. So I ripped it out and I figured out where I went wrong. Apparently I'd like pre-marked on my PDF version of the chart the next section that I was going to do, which was a bad idea. I think maybe I thought I was going to do the next 100 stitches and then I didn't, and I didn't unmark them, and it'd been long enough to where I went back that I went to the next set of stitches. And and I just you know, and taking out 100 stitches is not fun, but man, when you are doing 2/1 on what is this? 32 count, I think. Yeah, this is 32 count. 2/1 on 32 count with all that confetti. It took me longer to rip those stitches out than it did to put them in. So I did it, but I was happy because like when I realized that what the problem was, and then I figured out like what I'd done wrong, I was like, I have to spend the time ripping this out, because if I don't, then I may never touch this again. And it's in timeout. It may be a while before I touch it again because I'm very, very bitter about it. but at least when I do touch it again, it'll be ready to go. And I unmarked the chart because you can do that on the PDF. So I'm going to be super duper careful from now on to make sure I not only don't just take my own word for it with where I've marked on the chart, but that I like count, you know, make really sure that I'm in the right spot before I begin working on it if it's been a stretch of time since I did so. So that was bad. And then the pathetic thing. So this one is most famous for like the fact that I hate the fabric I'm working on, that it hurts to work on, etc. But that is actually not what happened with this one. It came up on the wheel, and it was just a day when I couldn't stitch. I just had, I had too many other things going on, and I was bound and determined to do some stitching, so I got 33 stitches in on this sucker. 33. And then it hasn't come up on the wheel since. So, here's what it looks like finished. And I won't bother to show you a picture of where it was before, but what I put in, to see this little section of orange, oh, sorry, it's stuck together. Okay. All I put in was this little stretch of orange here. That's all. Counts, right? 33 stitches. Okay. So that one is going away, and I don't know when I'll work on that again, but at least I can say I did. It was fun. It would have been a good productive stitching night. I feel it. It's just that I didn't words. I just didn't have time that night. That was all I could get done, literally, and because I was so busy with other things, and I made myself put in just that little bit of time, and then to say I did, and that was it. So but I was enjoying it, and I wasn't working on it long enough to make it hurt. So okay, so let's see. How Oh, okay. So I just don't want to miss anything. I feel like I may have forgotten to bring some things back here, but I don't, maybe not. Okay, so I did that one, and then, and there's no order to this. I'm not showing you this in the order I worked on them. So then I worked on my ink circles thing that I'm turning into a biscornu, and I will show you a picture of where it was when last you saw it. And here I am now. So I made respectable progress. I only worked on it for one evening, so I did good. I love this. I love it. This is just, it's a fair amount of work. For a biscornu, it's a fair amount of work, but it's gonna be freaking amazing when it's done. It's gonna be so worth it, and I'm not giving it to anybody, it's mine. Okay, and then I also worked on, I got two projects in the same day. So I had a few starts on that came up on the wheel. And that's the other thing is I wanted to do some new starts, but I didn't want to do a whole lot of new starts. And new starts kept coming up on the wheel. And when they started coming up, like one after the other, I got to a point where I was like, no, I don't want to start anything new. I want to keep working on stuff. So, such a rebel. But one of the new starts, I did 3 new starts. One of the new starts I did is it's Mill Hill Enchanted Pumpkin, and I started with the most. There's only 4 colors in this of thread and a few beads. I started with the most common color with that medium orange. I think it's the medium orange they call it. There's 3 colors of orange and then black. And I just figured I would make it easier for myself down the road by filling in the biggest color first. And that's about 500 stitches right there. One evening's work, I think. And then another new start. I wanted to do let me show you a picture of them. They're Shannon Christine Designs Spooky Silhouettes, and it's a new start. And this is how far I got on one of them. This is the pumpkin one. So it's all black, and there'll be French knots. So it's gonna be, these are gonna be really pretty. I'm gonna make them into individual ornaments. That picture I showed you, I think, is of them all together, but I plan to make them into individual pieces. So, or have them made, one or the other. So that one's that one. That was, I think, just one evening's, maybe two days worth of work. I can't remember. Then I worked on my Halloween at Hawthorne Hollow. Let me show you a picture of where it was before. Here's what it will look like finished, except mine will look a lot better because this photography is garbage. Man, this is just a wonderful, wonderful design. I am doing it all in the NPIs. And this is the center block, and this is where I'm at. I got about 1,200 stitches in on this one, I think. So in love with it. Wow. This design is just, the colors are fantastic. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I couldn't be happier. Okay, I'm not going to put that away. This one, I need to put it in a bigger bag because this one's hard for me to get out and put away, and my bag is ripping, and yeah. Another new start. So I had 3 new starts, but the wheel wanted me to have 5 or 6. So this one is a new start, so you haven't seen it before. It is, oh, come on. Oh, crappy picture. Halloween in Quilt by Corey Ibatakori. I think it's Italian, and I'm totally butchering that, I'm sure. And yeah, picture doesn't do it justice, but I'm loving it so far. These aren't really my colors, but it's going to be beautiful. I'm happy with it anyway. I'm doing it. This is my first experience with 46 count anything. And here is where I am in that first block. So I worked a few days on that. I really like that potted plant. Yeah, this is fun. Lots of repetitive patterns in the borders and stuff like that, which makes it easy, a little boring, but easy. What do I think about 46 count? Well, this is Under the Sea Fabrics by Stephanie, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. And I'm loving the look, but I don't think this is going to be my new favorite count or anything. The thoughts on this are that I'm not having any trouble seeing it, but the holes are really tight. I like to use the sewing method, and I'm finding that is difficult. Difficult to impossible to do the sewing method with this, at least neatly. What else? My needles are bending more. It's just a little bit more laborious than I like. 40 count, I don't experience that with that. I can still use the sewing method, but this is just the holes are, I can see them just fine because I have a really good light and a magnifying light. But the holes are just too tight for the needle to actually want to go through. And I'm using a tiny sharp needle, so you know. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I will do 46 count in the future. I don't think I'll bother to go any higher than that. Like if I want to do something really tiny, I can just do it over one, but the holes will be smaller. Like this would be finer work, say 32 count over one than 46 count over two. So it's actually easier to do over one, although I know there are issues with over one that are whole separate things. But I think it's okay. It's not my new favorite. If I want the finest count, I think I will really go after is 40 count. Still, I would have to say though that my favorite count remains 36 count to do 2 over 2. So, but it's a fun experiment, and it's going to be really beautiful and delicate when it's done. And I will use up that fabric. It's not bad. It's just not the favorite. Let me put that away. And then last is a project I am very close to finishing. Several videos ago, I talked about wanting to finish some projects, and this was one that is in that handful of projects that was close enough to finishing that I thought I ought to be able to finish. I think I hate to jinx it, but I think I'm probably going to finish this today. So this is a sweetheart tree that I've had in my possession far too long. Sweetheart tree kit called W is for Witch. That's what it looks like finished. And I'm almost done. I have just a little bit of regular stitching left to do, probably 20 minutes worth. And then the beads. So I should be able to finish this today. So all I have left is the W up here. I've got the W mostly up there, but there's a little tiny bit of white stitches for the W, but the outlining and the back stitching that connects that to make a full W has to be done. So it's really just back stitching on there, and then the beads. So I should finish this today. This is more work than it appears. Several of these letters are over 1. The skin on her face is over 1. Like this W. Yeah. This W is all over 1. This W is all over 1. This W over here is all over 1. The most annoying and most laborious part of this though was the witch, particularly with the back stitching. There was like a couple of hours worth of back stitching required on her. She doesn't look like it, but believe me, there was a couple of hours worth of back stitching on her. So almost done. I really think I'll finish it today. So so there is that. And at some point I will probably give away that pattern. I won't give away anything but the pattern, of course, but I'll give away the pattern. So there is that. Okay. So that is it for my, yes, I was just double checking my list to make sure I didn't leave something out there. That is it for my WIPs. And so Dark October stitching, I plan to go ahead and continue with it till the end of the month. Not sure about the wheel. Some other non-Halloween-y things are starting to call to me, but I have enough possibilities in Halloween that I think I can stick with it until the end of the month, and I think I'll enjoy that. But no promises. I have to do what I want to do, or I just won't stitch. So I'm gonna do, okay. So since I'm not trying not to buy, I still am shopping. I'm not purchasing. I'm looking around, of course, and resisting things. So I'm gonna insert a little bit of a slideshow here of the stuff I am not buying right now. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't anybody rack me any of those things. Because it is not about money. It is about accumulation, and there's no end. There's just no end to what I want, to the number of beautiful projects out there to do. There's no end to it. And so I have to resist. But I hope you enjoyed that slideshow of all the beautiful things that I have discovered in the last couple of weeks that I really feel like I gotta have. And maybe I'll just keep doing that. I'll enable you all to make purchases that I'm refusing to do. And I've definitely not stopped buying, but I just have to resist more. I have to keep a handle on this and stitch more of what I have and slow down on the getting more things. So far so good. All right, now now I want to talk about the book. The book I'm super excited about. I know lots of you are readers, and this book is for anybody who is a reader. It doesn't matter what you read. Well, there's not a lot of like just guilty pleasures in here. Like there's probably not much in the way of like romance novels and cozy mysteries and stuff like that. But this book, 1,000 books to read before you die. And it is way more than 1,000 books. This is a hefty book. The cover price on this book is $35. Please buy it from your local bookstore. Good news for bookstores. I have heard that the Kindle edition of this book is not very good. That it's missing some things. Not like technically missing some things, but I've read reviews that say that the Kindle edition of this book is less than. So buy it in the real book form. It's such a pleasure to hold, and it's heavy. It's really heavy, dense. There are like 948 pages in here, and there's more than 1,000 books in here because it is alphabetical by author. The history of this, I think his name was Boxall, about 15 years ago or so, 15 years ago or so, this guy put out a book called The 1,001 1,000 books to read before you die. And then he put out a couple of later editions of it. Like they came out with one in like 2008 and then one in 2010. That's just a guess. He ordered them. I believe he ordered the book in chronological order, starting from oldest to most ancient book to most modern, and which is a fine way to do it and very interesting in of itself, reading it that way. This one is alphabetical by author, so you have this, you know, like juxtaposition of these authors that follow each other in the alphabet, but whose books are nothing alike, which I think is kind of cool. And then in the back of the book, there's a checklist that lists also alphabetical by author, a checklist of all the books, alphabetical author, with little actual checks on them, so you can mark them off if you've read them. And then there's also an index of the book titles. But I say there's way more than 1,000 books in here, because each entry about a book is, it talks about the book itself, and then there is like a section at the end that describes the book like more concisely, and tells you, makes suggestions for books, other books possibly written by the same author, and also like further reading by other people that is similar or related. And so if I had to guess, I would say there's 7,000 or 8,000 books listed in here, because it appears to me that almost every entry has 5, 6, 7 books, other books listed in it. So just an enormous wealth of suggestions for reading. And they do have a checklist that you can write in. Now, I personally, for a book like this, I actually personally believe in writing in it, for me. So what I'm doing is going through and as I am reading these books, I am making notes in pen permanently about when I read the book and what I thought of it, and you know, that kind of thing. And I'm not going back and writing anything about like the old stuff I've read, but if I reread it or sit down and rethink about it, revisit that book, then I make notes, because of course, as a big reader, I have read a lot of these books. But even though I tend to not reread a lot of books because there's just too many books out there to read, disappointingly, I don't retain, for years, I don't retain a whole lot about most books. A few books stay with me, but even good books tend to just fade from my memory, and I just don't remember what they were about. So as I'm going through this book and choosing to pick books to read, I'm going to reread some. If, you know, I won't kid myself and say I'll ever read all 1,000 of these books, and I certainly won't read the 6,000, 7,000, or 8,000 that are really in here. But it's a wonderful wealth of suggestions for any of you who are real into books. So, lastly, I'm going to do the drawing for Autumn Shadows. As I said, I only had a few entries, so this is it. It's going to go to somebody. You can hear the... Oh, now you can't hear it. There's a couple of pieces of paper in there rattling around. All right. My friend Carla Eldridge. So, Carla, I mean, we're in contact, but I don't know if I've ever actually mailed you anything. And I think I've probably thrown out the boxes for the things you've mailed me. So, send me your mailing address, and I will send this to you. And I'm thrilled that you want it. So, not that I wouldn't have been happy for the other person, but you know how it is. So that is that. And I think we've teased a little bit the last couple of videos, but I think you will be seeing my husband at the end of this video. So so enjoy him, and I will talk to you all in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
After Stitch. Hello, my name's Anton, and I'm Christine's husband. And today, we're out on the trail. Let's go. Yeah, we're out hiking today, enjoying the sun. I'm all tangled. Okay, one thing that I really like to do is take my big, beefy camera and go out in the woods and shoot stuff. So, that's what we're doing today. And also, it got me thinking about cross stitches and images. And you know, photography and cross stitch isn't too much different. They both deal with images. So yeah. Hattie, piece of crap dog. She's wanting to sniff at everything and go in like every single puddle. And it just makes the hike go really slow. Oh, and look, she's peeing, yay. So, all right, there's a pretty scenery. That is Mount Roberts over there. There's a tram that goes up Mount Roberts that you can see sort of in the middle of the picture there. Once you get up to the Treadwell Ditch part of the trail, it's pretty flat and it runs for like 16 miles. 100 years ago for the Treadwell mine, they needed water, so they got a bunch of Chinese migrant workers to build a ditch that runs 16 miles along Douglas Island. And then when they were done, an angry mob rounded them up, stuck them on a boat, and sent them south. So yay, a little bit of history there. So we followed the ditch trail along there, and then we took a detour on this boardwalk, which would go all the way up to Mount Jumbo there. But we're not doing that today because, well, that's a lot of mountain. I didn't bring enough water. I've got an old dog with me, so that ain't happening. Oh, it's tempting to want to climb that mountain, but once you get in the trees, I've done it before, once you get in the trees, it's like straight up and down. And Maddie and I just hiked like 4 miles of Treadwell Ditch, so, you know. Right, Maddie? We don't want to do that. Yes, I'm old. I don't want to do it, but I kind of want to do it anyway. Look at her. She wants to go. All right. We're back. I'm going to show you some pictures from the hike and from the Cincinnati cross-stitch trip that I just processed. I know it's been a few months, but anyway. I'm going to show you those, and I'm going to show you some other pictures, and I'm going to show you a picture of my beagle. Okay. So, enabling alert, enabling alert, enabling alert. Cross-stitching beagles. Should you find yourself wanting to cross-stitch Maddie, let me know, and I'll send you a high-resolution picture of Maddie, and you can stick it into one of those, you know, cross-stitching programs, and stitch away. So let's start this slideshow. All right, I gotta fire up the old projector here, and here we go. Cincinnati. Nice neighborhoods. Cool church. Lots of bridges. Might be good to cross stitch. Back to Juneau. Top of Thunder Mountain looking towards Juneau. Gastineau Meadows. And the ditch trail. More ditch. The dog in the ditch. Couple more ditch pictures. Looking back at Juneau. Close up of Juneau. And a panoramic shot of where we ate lunch. Now, pictures of Maddie. Sometimes she stands still long enough for good pictures, believe it or not. Oh, and then there's my cat. No problem standing still. Well, that was pretty fun. Yeah, if you want to stitch my cat, you're going to need like a lot of cloth. And probably one of these, because she is definitely a BAP, for sure. Well, until next time, goodbye.